All right, are we live? I think we might be. Hey everyone, how's it going? It is Max with BuzzTox. Be patient with me. I haven't done a stream in, I think I checked, it's been 10 months. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's almost been a year. I guess 2020 was kind of a crazy year for a lot of people. All right, are we live?
It was a good year for me.
We might be.
I was
hey everyone,
fortunate,
how's it going? It is
but
Max.
I know a lot of people weren't.
BuzzTox. Be patient.
It's a really
with me.
hard year with COVID.
I haven't done a stream,
but
in,
I felt like now
it's been
was
10
a
months.
good time to kind of jump back
I
into
can't
it.
believe
I wanted
I
to,
can't believe
do this
I
live
can't believe
stream.
it's
I don't know
almost
how
been a
many
year.
people are gonna
I guess
show
it's been
up.
2020 was kind of a
But I
crazy
want to thank
year.
Michael McDonough,
for a
Eric,
lot of
and the
people.
programmer of video games
all
back.
right,
I remember
are
you
we
guys.
live?
Thank
It
you
was
so
a good year
much
for
for all
me.
your support. I was
hey everyone,
fortunate.
how's it going? It is
I genuinely
Max
just wanted
with
to do this live stream to just kind of
really hard
talk my thoughts, because I think this channel has a lot of potential. We've done a lot of things already, and I don't know how many people are lacking.
I guess 2020 was
That's
kind
like
of
lack of a better
Michael McDonough, Eric.
That's saying it lightly. I've been really
right,
easy on this channel. I haven't been posting.
It's
It's been difficult, and I know that I have, I've gotten somewhat of a fan base, talking TV. So I wanted to, sit down with anyone who would come on, discuss what your interests are, what would you like to see in the BuzzTox channel. I'd also like to discuss, what I'm going through and what I would like in terms of a YouTube channel, because I think BuzzTox, there's a lot of potential for it as a channel, and I feel like,
I've gotten
I never really felt like going on and doing a video. I always sit down with anyone who would come on, discuss what it wasn't like worth it, or I didn't have anything to say I'm going through, so I never did. So then 10 months passed and there was nothing. I felt like there was no TV to really talk about.
It's been difficult, and I feel
so
like
I didn't.
I've gotten
I never really, like right now, there's actually a lot of good Marvel shows on, but I didn't know covering it. WandaVision, it's out. I haven't watched it. It wasn't, but I hear it's really good. Worth it. I didn't have anything. We got one that I was really excited for, so I never did. Falcon and Winter Soldier. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm gonna pick it. I'm really excited for that one. One sec, just to shut me up here. Somebody says there's something wrong with the right now. There's actually a lot of good Marvel shows, which is bound to happen. Covering it, because I haven't watched it. It wasn't, but I haven't done this in a very long time. Can you guys tell me in the chat what's wrong with the audio? Really excited for. So I never. I don't know if it's like. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm gonna pick it. I'm really excited for that one. One sec, just to shut me up here. Maybe overexposed. Somebody says there's something wrong with the right now. There's actually a lot of good Marvel shows, which is bound to happen. Covering it. Can you guys tell me, because I haven't watched it. It wasn't, but I haven't done this in a very long time. Can you guys tell me in the chat what's wrong with the audio? Really excited for. Off to a great start. Thanks for being here, guys. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm gonna pick it. I'm really excited for that one. This is what happens when you leave. I think I checked. It's been 10 months. Oh wow. Somebody says there's something wrong with like right now. There's actually a lot of good Marvel shows, which is bound to happen. Covering it. Can you guys tell me, because I haven't. Yeah, I hear that. There's like 3 minutes, but I haven't done this in a very long time. Can you guys tell me in the chat what's wrong? I don't know if this is double max. This is like triple max. Thanks for being here, guys. Boom. I think I solved the problem. I have myself open in another window. I think we're good. I can't believe it. Okay, I think we're good. Just give me a thumbs up, and then I'll keep talking, and then I'll address you guys in the chat. Man, people really underestimate the difficulty of starting a stream. This is hard. Okay, good. We're good. Awesome. I don't even know what I was talking about. I was probably talking about how hard it is doing YouTube. Yeah, so the reason for the live stream. I didn't want to do a really edited video. I feel like a lot of people do this. Just gotta throw it out there. I want to do a live stream. I want to talk about this channel. I wanted to see who would turn up. I'm shocked. Thank you guys so much for turning up. It honestly is a shock to me. I thought I'd be talking alone. Thank you, Javier, Eric, NeoMac, Programmer Video Games, Marilyn. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your support. My God.
But yeah, with this channel, it's been up and down. They always say that, consistency is key, and I have not been consistent at all. We hit our typically with this channel, we end up ramping up with certain TV shows. So we'd ramp up with Westworld. We were ramping up with Game of Thrones. This channel got its legs from Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones, always will. But over time, you get kind of tired of it. And you guys know how I felt about Game of Thrones. I thought the ending sucked. So that kind of discouraged me a bit. I see some people online who still post Game of Thrones videos, and I don't know how. I don't know how you talk about a show that's been done for a year and a half and you still post videos on it. Like, I think that's amazing. I wish I could do that, but I can't. It's really draining. It's really hard to. The best way I would compare it to is like you have homework or you have an assignment that you keep putting off, and YouTube started feeling like work in the sense of like, and I'll dive into it more, but I'm not, me myself as an individual, I'm not just a TV person. I'm not really much of a TV guy. That's what the funny thing is I'm not a TV fan. I'm a Game of Thrones fan, and I'm a Westworld fan. And that's why this channel was so heavily fixated on those. And there were so many different shows that I tried to start and I couldn't get into because it didn't have almost, I don't want to say like the depth, but it just didn't have the world I was looking for, the depth, the ability to just communicate about a show. And that was lost on me. So, this whole time when I haven't been online, like Westworld ended and I haven't watched any TV that would be worth covering, because I do a lot of other stuff, and that's why we'll talk about multiple things, but I want to hear what you guys are interested in, and what TV shows you're interested in. But I also need to address like what the future of this channel could be. Like, it's called BuzzTox for a reason. You talk about what's buzzing. It's not just TV. It could be anything. And if this is a channel that's a reflection of me, I don't know where the balance is, because you need to make sure, I want to make sure that you guys are getting the content that you want. But at the end of the day, I'm not just a TV guy. I'm a business guy. I love finance. I love stocks. I have my own company. I love entrepreneurship. I love gaming. To a degree. But there's a lot of different things that I like to do, and it's hard because, I would love to do a business channel. I would love to do, in that vein, but it feels weird mixing it with this channel, especially since a lot of the times when I'm pursuing a TV show, I don't want to watch TV. So I think that's the hardest thing. And it's hard to pin it down to, like I said, I like gaming, but it's like I don't. That's what's funny, is that it's the same thing with TV. Like with TV, it's like I don't watch a lot of TV. Like when I tell you what I watch, it's literally Game of Thrones and Westworld and whatever my girlfriend and I are watching, like The Office. If you guys want to see an hour-long breakdown of every episode of The Office, tell me. I'm sure my girlfriend would be able to do it. But it's the same thing with gaming, for example. I don't play a lot of games. I play one game, and I love it, and I'd love to do videos on it. I watch 2 TV shows. I love those shows. I love to do videos on it. I have my own company. I'd love to do videos on that. I invest in stocks. I would love to do videos on that. So it's a hard thing balancing out what to do, because this isn't the Max channel. This is BuzzTox. So how is the best way to carry this brand forward that's for you guys? Because really this is for you guys, and I wouldn't want to start putting stuff on this channel that just isn't what you signed up for. So I want to hear what you guys think. I want to come to some kind of understanding on what you guys want out of a content creator. But that's the main thing, is I've had a hard time getting into YouTube strictly because I don't have the interest to sit and watch TV all the time and break it down, because all TV doesn't really align with my brand, I would say. I think you have a lot of great channels who do reviews, they do previews, they do things like that. But I've always pegged BuzzTox and what I do as a deep analysis. And I like to go really deep. I like to talk about predictions. I love to break down themes, really dive deep into the content. And I find that in order to push that brand or push what I'm trying to do, you need a certain type of TV. You need certain type of television for that to work. And a lot of times I just don't see it, or I don't have interest. But I know that there still is a future in terms of the TV side. Like Westworld's coming out. I still love Westworld. Game of Thrones has a ton of spinoffs. I'll definitely cover it. But it's figuring out that right balance. Another reason why it's been difficult to upload is not only is it, the year of 2020 was, in terms of myself, it was entrepreneurship, finance, stocks. It was everything related to business. So it was really hard for me to do business and then try and jump into TV mode, because I was just so engulfed in personal business, entrepreneurship, all that stuff. So with COVID, I'll shout them out. I've been watching their videos. I find it really funny because after Game of Thrones ended, someone in the comments said, like, you should write your own story. And I was like, oh yeah, whatever. Oh no, I think they said like season 7, like earlier on in season 7, somebody said, oh, you should write your own show, like whatever, all your predictions. And I was like, whatever. And then I saw Game of Thrones end, and I was like, you know what, maybe I should, because I spent all this time writing my own theories and my own predictions. It's like, why don't I take a crack at writing my own story? And that's been another thing that's kept me from doing videos, is I don't want to do a video on someone else's content and try and dive into it when I can almost dive into my own world and then see if I could develop something that would be exactly what I would want in a show. Something that you can talk about every week, something that drives theory, speculation. It really brings in the community. Something that isn't based on material that people can, go read the books or something that stands on its own. It's its own series, and people tune in, and kind of it forms a community around it. So I've been working on that also. So really it's basically been just a melting pot of of stuff that's been going on that I would love to do like videos for. Like when I decided I was gonna work on my own story, and like I don't know how this is gonna pan out, but I noticed Smokescreen, and I'm sure you guys know who Smokescreen is. He was another Game of Thrones channel, and he wrote his own book, and I think that's so cool. And it's something that I've definitely been thinking about, considering. I think it would be fun, but it is a ton of work. So anytime also that I would have to do a video, I'd be like, oh, I want to just work on my book or my story. I feel like I can't come to the table with any content unless I make my own stuff. So that's my ramble on what's been going on. I want to figure out what a good direction is for this channel. I'm kind of out in the woods on this. I know Captain America, Falcon and I don't even know the name. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it's out now. We have another episode dropping Friday. I'm considering covering that. My only issue is I feel like I'm not up to snuff with the comics to appropriately cover it to my standard of quality. I'd be interested to hear what you guys like to watch. Javier says, have you seen Raised by Wolves? I haven't. What's funny with Raised by Wolves is that, so this is another thing that you never see with me in YouTube, is I actually was going to do videos on Raised by Wolves. And I watched the first episode. I had all the content needed. I had the stuff to do an episode preview as well as an episode breakdown, and it just didn't hold me. I don't know why. So that was another thing. It didn't. It just didn't. It just didn't jibe with me, and you can't have everything go. But there's some channels who they cover all that TV stuff. With me, like, this channel is just me, and it's hard balancing. Well, it's not. It is what it is. But like covering my, working on my business, working on wanting to work on my story, all these different things. It becomes hard to grind. Like Game of Thrones, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love doing videos for it. It was a blast. But the last thing I want is to watch a show that I don't want for the sake of making content. I want to make content that I like. And that's the biggest thing. Whereas now that Game of Thrones is over, I feel like where's that content that I actually like to make? So that's where it gets hard. On the TV side, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I know I'll like it. I know I'll love it. But what value can I add? What value can I add to that show? And to be honest, I don't know if I can add any value. Because it's not in the vein of Game of Thrones, and it's not in the vein of Westworld. It's a show, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm going to guess that it ends with them beating the bad guy, Zemo. I'm going to guess. There's a few bumps along the way, but it doesn't line up with, it just doesn't line up with what I do and what this brand was supposed to be about, or what I did with Game of Thrones. So I think that's another thing, is it's hard putting out content on a show if I feel like I'm not giving a genuine value. And that's where there's so many times you guys don't even know where I watch a show, I sit down to do the commentary, and it just isn't there, and I don't see the value. I don't see how. I almost don't want to stamp my name on it, because it's just a guy talking about a show, and I feel like I'm not adding any value. And that's basically what Eric asked. Did you watch Lovecraft Country? And same story. I did. I watched like 3 episodes. 3 episodes of it, and it basically boiled down to, it was based on a book. I didn't read the book, so I didn't have the information. It kind of just sprung itself on me, and I was like, oh, I can cover this show. I watched it, and based on how, like, the show was kind of crazy, it was interesting. I recorded a video for it, but at the end of the day, it was the value again. I didn't feel like I was adding value to it, but also the market wasn't there. And that's where it's difficult, because Game of Thrones, everyone loved it, and there was a big market for it. People were really engaged in Game of Thrones. Lovecraft, I don't think anyone really knew about it. Like it didn't have an audience. It didn't have like a very big audience. Westworld, it had an audience, but it's kind of tapered off a bit. I don't know what they're doing with that show now. It's very interesting. But yeah. Javier says, I can't wait for Foundation to come out on ATV. That one looks really interesting to me. See, Foundation, I have no idea. So if you guys want me to cover, if you want me to look at certain television shows, I'm not going to say that I'm going to cover it. Put them down below. But I feel like it's this weird time where I feel like there's so much TV out there, but they're not. It might be one of two things. Like, people really got together for Game of Thrones because it was like a phenomenon every week, and now maybe the market is so oversaturated. We have all these different streaming services, and they all have their own show, or they're just not. They're just not at that quality, that engagement, because Game of Thrones was based off of a huge novel series, right? But I'm really looking for. I would love to cover a show that had, the fans in mind. It was written for kind of that Game of Thrones fan. Like, I love really deep content you can dive into. Javier said Apple TV. Okay, yeah, they'd be a great service. I actually got to buy one. I was pissed yesterday. I sat down to watch YouTube, and a notification popped up saying that I couldn't watch YouTube because I have Generation 3 Apple TV. So I have to buy a new one, which is crazy to me that they can do that, because it's like I own it, and then they can just tell me I can't use it anymore. It's like I might as well just lease it. It doesn't make any sense. Brian Hardy says Last Kingdom. The Last Kingdom is an excellent show. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, I need to sit down and see what these shows are. To be like completely transparent with you, there's two sides to it, right? There's the personal me loving it. I have to love the show and engage in the show, and I want you guys to love the show. But the other thing also is engagement. The show needs to have legs. It needs to be a show that's liked by people, and that you can have a conversation around. Because if you can't have a conversation around the show, then there's no point in me almost talking about it. So that's one thing. So TV aside, put down the TV shows that you guys would like me to look at. And I'll definitely have a look, because I really want to start working on this channel again. Even if it's like a video a week or a video every 2 weeks, I just need to get back in the steam of things. And in terms of Zozo, asked if I've watched WandaVision. I haven't. I should have, but that was another thing in my head where it's like, I can't. In terms of WandaVision, I can't give the value that I feel like I should be able to give on WandaVision. I don't know much about Scarlet Witch or the Vision. It would essentially be me reacting. So I didn't watch it. I might cover Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We'll see how it goes. Eric says, it's a lot of TV for something to really catch me so I can watch it. Debris, have you watched that on NBC? Debris? No, I haven't. Honestly, guys, I haven't watched anything that you ask me if I've watched. I haven't. I don't watch TV. That's what's so crazy about it, is I'm sitting on this channel that's a TV channel, and I don't watch TV anymore. And that's why I'm gonna look at it. I hope I can find content that's really engaging for you guys. But I also want to hear, outside of TV, what content would you like me to do? Because there is some content that I might have to do for me. And I'm not saying now. I'm saying in the future, I want to, when I get out of this room, I'm going to build a set. I'm going to be more on the channel rather than just overlaying footage, because I want to cover different topics. I don't want to commit to what level of change I'm going to do to this channel, because it's the balancing act, If it were my choice, I'd love to have everything on here, but who's going to subscribe to a channel that covers only a quarter of what they like, and the other, 3/4 is just, extra crap that they don't care about. So yeah, I got to figure that out. I'm shocked that there's people who came in the chat. Thank you guys so much. And another thing that I said I'm working on as well is my show idea. I figured before I figure out how I'm gonna. It's essentially a dream project that it might take me years. Who knows? But I know how it begins. I know how it ends. I know the arcs. I have the world, which, you know what, I might actually just share with you guys to show you. Because why not? I can use you guys as a springboard, see what you guys think. And then if it becomes something, I'll have to take down this video. But before I do that, does anybody have any questions at all? Any questions at all? I'd love to answer them. It's been a long time. It's been 10 months. So it's going to take some time for me to kind of get back in the swing of things. But in order for BuzzTox to keep going, I'm going to have to change things up a bit. Eric says, what about movie reviews? Yeah, so movie reviews, a couple things. Either you do movie reviews on what is trending, so what's coming out now, which right now during COVID, there's nothing. I've wanted to watch James Bond for the last year, and it's still not out. So, first of all, the movies have to be out, and they're not. Second of all, it would have to change how my channel operates, because currently it's about in-depth analysis, and with movies there's only so much you can do unless you're a Marvel Cinematic Universe. Any type of movie, there's no critical analysis, it's strictly review, and that's where my battle is, because I don't feel like I'm adding any value, because I can say, oh, this is great, I didn't like this, I like this, but then in my mind I'm like, who cares? You know what I mean? So that's the one struggle with movie reviews. If I review older movies, who dictates what movies I watch, what movies I review, and there's going to be nobody who would want to watch it, and that's the hard balance, right? Is I want to do videos for the community, but also I need videos that reach other people as well. Brian says, have you heard anything about Westworld Season 4? No. So in terms of Westworld and Game of Thrones, I've been kind of out of the news loop. I would say with Westworld, it's usually about 1.5 years production. I think, when was it? I don't even remember when it was out. Last year. Was it April? Let's see. Westworld Season 3. Yeah, April. Yeah, I remember, around my birthday. Whoa, April 2020? That flew. So that was a year ago. Okay. So we should be getting, I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a Westworld teaser in like 6 months? No, 3 months. I think 3 months we'll get a teaser. Honestly, Westworld could be canceled. Like, I have no idea. But in terms of Westworld, if they're going to follow a typical production schedule, I would say you get a teaser in about 3 months, a trailer in about 5 months, and then it would release in about 7 months. Maybe they'd aim for like a November release. So now it's March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Yeah, about 8-9 months. I think we can expect Westworld. They'll probably hit a November launch window of this year. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if I'm right. My off-the-cuff prediction. In terms of what they'll do with the show, I don't know. Really caught me off guard with William. I think they butchered his character. That's my opinion. Because they made him into a straight-up robot villain. Like, he... Essentially now he's no different than like Ultron's minions. he's just a villain to push forward Dolores, or in this case now Maeve and Caleb. So yeah. Programmer says, I'm still upset about what happened to William at the end of season 3. Maybe it's a misdirection. I don't know. I doubt it. I have no idea, but we'll see. In terms of Game of Thrones, I heard that there's going to be multiple spinoffs. Like, these guys are going crazy with spinoffs, and I don't blame them. I hope, though, that when they do these spinoffs, they actually sit down and get an overall direction on where this thing begins, middle, and where the beginning is and where it ends, so you can get where the themes go. Because I think the biggest problem with HBO not working with Dave and Dan. I don't know what happened with Dave and Dan, with George R.R. Martin, or with HBO, but letting Dave and Dan end Game of Thrones the way it did completely shattered a lot of potential spinoffs for HBO. They had that show, The Long Night. The Long Night. It was supposed to be about the first time the Night King came south, and they canceled it. You know why they canceled it? Because Dave and Dan shite on the lore of the Night King. How do you write a story about the time the Night King came south when he gets killed when he makes it into Winterfell? And how do you touch on that lore when it basically became irrelevant. There was no Azor Ahai. There was no prophecy. There was nothing to build on. So there was no story to tell. So we have, that's why I think the Night King stuff with Game of Thrones is done. Because the show from the beginning with Dave and Dan, it wasn't about the magical. It was about the Game of Thrones, about who sits on the throne. It was about the political aspects of the show, about the families, the characters, the show. It wasn't about the existential threat. So I think that's what all these spin-offs are about. They're going to be completely about character. They're going to be about politics. It's not going to be about an overarching existential threat. And that's like Dunk and Egg, Aegon's Conquest. You get a lot of different ones like that. I put out a video a while ago where I know they're going to do all these spin-offs, so I'd like one of them to at least be unique. And in terms of the Targaryen name, the Targaryen story, I wanted them to, instead of just focus on Aegon the First, who conquered Westeros, I would like them to do a show about all of the Aegons in history. So like season 1 would be about Aegon the First, second season would be about Aegon the Second, Aegon the Third, because they all have a very unique history. And I would love it to end with Jon Snow, and he'd be king beyond the wall. I think that would be a pretty cool way to do it. Do kind of time jumps. It would be a different formula. It would shake things up a bit. Instead of it taking place, instead of it following multiple characters like Daenerys, Jon, Bran, all these different characters, each episode, it follows one character each season, and each season is an arc of Aegon. So that was my idea. We'll see what they'll do. There's no way they're gonna do that, but yeah. So we'll see what happens with that show. In terms of anything else, that's it. I think COVID slowed down things a lot. We probably would have had a Game of Thrones show this year if it wasn't for COVID. So, yeah, I don't know. We will see. But because of that, the one thing I will say, I'll show you guys now. If you have any questions, put them down below. But I'm actually going to show you guys what I've been working on. I don't want you guys to be yes men. I want you guys to genuinely tell me if you think this is good, bad, whatever. I'm going to give you a light rundown. I'm not going to go in the story I've been working on. I'm just going to show you the stuff I've been working on to see if it gives any interest. Because anytime I sit down to talk about Game of Thrones or do anything Game of Thrones, I just stop because I want to work on my own story. So I'm going to pull it up here, and I genuinely... Oh, I don't have the audio. 1 second here, guys. Okay, I'm just going to add this in. There you go. I think you can hear me. You get a weird paused look at me right there. Boom. We're on the map. Let me port this over. So, I just wanted to show you guys this for me, because this is what I've been working on for a very long time. So I wanted to get your genuine thoughts. And I just wanted to go through it quickly. Because, to be honest, this was a big chunk of 2020. So if you look at, I've been building this map for a while. I have a ton of notes in my book. And I figured, who best to show it with quickly than a bunch of Game of Thrones fans who are really into, diving deep in content. So this is basically what I produced. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Yeah, so I've been building this for a while. I essentially did a world called Chrysia. I wanted it to be a fantasy show, but over time, throughout the show, you realize it's a science fiction. When you see things like magic throughout the world, you think it's magic, but really it's a perception of ancient technology that's been buried throughout the world. So there's a lot of things you can play with this dynamic. I'm really aiming for that Game of Thrones feel, but I want it to also stand on its own. Like if I were to say what really inspired me with this, it was Game of Thrones, but also Hunger Games. Because Hunger Games, the movie, that's one of my favorite movies because I went to the premiere and I had no idea what it was. So when I actually went to the show, I saw this girl running around the forest, Katniss, and I thought it was, I don't know, I thought it was like this like weird medieval movie, like I don't know. And then all of a sudden like a spaceship comes in out of nowhere. And I love the duality between worlds. And I thought that was really interesting. So if you can't already tell, this map is not one that I just made up. This is Earth. This is North America. And it's overflowed with water. This is like 25,000 years in the future, but people don't know. Technology's embedded through the whole world. And it manifests in magic. There's certain remnants of the past left around called monoliths. These monoliths are essentially these ancient tombs made of this metal that they don't know how to... Basically, this is them laid all over the map. It looks like some ancient... It's almost like a pyramid, but it's like this ancient metal monolith where people can't access it. People don't understand its power. And there's other remnants in the world. If you look to the people in general, the population is very sickly. If you have... the majority of the population are born with blue eyes. And if you're blue-eyed, you're more likely to get sick. You die at a young age. They haven't had kids in a while. And that's where the kingdom was formed, because they all offered different strengths to boost the economy. If you look at the Old North and the New North, where the kings sit at High-Risk Peak and Whiterun, these guys essentially hold the keys to really strong people. They breed really strong, genetically fortified people, where they're great for soldiers. But the problem is that it's the North, so they don't get food. So they actually have to supply people to the kingdoms in order to supply food, resources throughout the economy, because the population is dying. People don't understand why the population is falling. It's a mystery on the world. And then you have the Stone Lands. The capital of that is Gravenhurst. Gravenhurst... is essentially, it's the mine for the area. There's historical people in the past who can mine these monoliths, and it's a special metal. You have the Heartlands. Heartlands, essentially, what's good about the Heartlands is it's strategically connected to 4 out of the 6 kingdoms. That's the reason why it's the beating heart of the kingdom. And then you have the arm that goes up to the Old North. You have the crest. Capital is Sunsheath. These guys are basically military experts. They guide the Barren Lands. The Barren Lands are essentially... It's this area that if you walk, you die. People don't understand why, but you die. The story is about one person who makes it through the Barren Lands and he survives. So there you go. The Basin focuses on a lot of the farming in Fortinhelm. You have the Eastern Shield with Urindale. You have Havelock with the Eden Islands. I forgot to mention, like, there's little things throughout the world, like the Basin and the Crest and the Stonelands, actually. They all have forests that they call them Smithers Forests, where the trunks aren't actually wood. They're made of this metal that they can't be mined. So there's a lot of key insights in this world that feed back to an older, ancient society that no one really understands. And that as the story unfolds, magic essentially becomes technology. But I don't think it's ever going to be perceived that way. So I think it's an interesting idea to play with. Like there was an article I just read that was crazy. I'll go back to me. But there's an article that I read that was crazy where scientists have discovered a way to communicate with spinach. Yeah, they can connect to spinach and they can read the frequencies on the spinach and they can gauge the weather patterns that are going to come within the week. Because spinach has this weird ability to interpret weather before it comes. There's other things too. People are printing tissues in labs. They encoded a xenobot, which is essentially this piece of tissue, and they can code it to move a certain way. So there's a lot that can be happened here. For me, one main thing, for example, is genetic modification is such a crazy thing, and I don't think we're going to understand the true power of genetic modification until it gets kind of out of our hands. And you can genetically modify humans, and that's what this story is going to deal with. It's going to be the duality the duality between Mother Nature, letting Mother Nature decide what genes stay, which genes go, what creates a strong human versus human tampering, genetic modification, which is where the blue eyes come from. People over time are genetically becoming weak because of the modifications of an ancient superior society. So there's that. You also get an environment where, like I think, for example, if you're looking at our energy, right now we burn oil. We're also moving on to solar and a lot of other renewable resources. But I think in terms of our energy consumption, I think we're going to get to a point where we can actually code. We'll be able to basically grow trees that use photosynthesis to supply us energy. So, and then I think with that, you also have quantum data storage. And that's another element too, where you can basically use atoms to store data. And if you apply all of that, trees and plants and wildlife essentially becomes a beacon for people to connect to if they share the same genetic sequences. So there's a lot of different stuff to play with that I was thinking of. So that was something that I was really playing with. It's something I've been doing for a while. So that was my idea. So I'm gonna try and keep working on it. I wanted to throw it out to you guys and see what you think. It's tough. It's tough building a interesting world, I have to say. It is incredibly difficult. And do something that makes sense. You need all the pieces to connect. And make sure that there's no plot holes. I hate watching a show and having it break its own rules. So it's understanding that too. So this is probably going to be like a 5-year project, but it's something I'm doing on the side. And I would encourage anyone to do, when we're all at home with COVID, with nothing to do, what better time than to sit down and do something productive. But I might call it there. That's all I have to say about BuzzTox. So in terms of the channel, let me know down below what kind of shows you want me to cover. But also let me know what content you're interested in. If you look, I'd be interested in hearing, on your subscriber page, when you sit down to relax and you watch a video, what videos are you watching? What is interesting to you? I would love to hear what's interesting to you. Because for me, when I sit down to watch videos for fun on my leisure time, it's business, it's finance, it's all that stuff, and I personally love it. But I can see how that could suck. That's quite the pivot when you're doing TV about a fantasy land and then you end up talking about accounting. So I get it. That's I don't know if I should go that direction with the channel. I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. But I think before any of you guys were here, BuzzTox used to be something else before. We used to be a gaming channel. We were a gaming channel first. And we were playing, I was playing 5 different games. And then my brother-in-law got me to watch Game of Thrones. And I finished the end of season 5. And then I became obsessive. And I became so obsessive, I started doing Game of Thrones videos. And the Game of Thrones videos started doing really well. And I love talking about them. So that's what kind of started this whole channel, was BuzzTox pivoted. So that's my one thing, where the difference between this pivot and last pivot was, last pivot I had nobody who cared. So I could do what I wanted. But now I have people, like you, Brian, programmer, Zozo, Eric, Javier, all of you guys are interested in my content, which, my God, thank you for sticking around after 10 months. So I want to make sure you're getting the content you want. But at the end of the day, it might be time for a light pivot, especially since the last time I pivoted BuzzTox, it did really well. And I don't want to let go of Game of Thrones. I'm not going to let go of Westworld. I'm always going to do those. But it might be time for adding new things. Bring on some change, because that's the hardest thing, is it's my channel and I'm changing too. So we need to, I'm going to make content that's entertaining, but it's going to have to change a bit to make sure I'm engaged. So I'm going to try my best. I'm not going to promise at this point or make any commitments to when I'm starting. I might not post again for another month. I don't know. But just know I'm planning to come back to YouTube and to make content that I'm interested in and that you like. So that's it. I think if you sum up this live stream, I don't know if it really boiled down to anything. I think it was just it was a necessary check-in, and I'm gonna need to pivot a bit for this channel. Like I said, this channel's called BuzzTox. It's not called Game of Thrones Talks. It's not called Westworld Talks. It's called BuzzTox. Talk about anything. We can talk about anything. And I'm interested in taking a role that is more on camera for a bit. There's certain things that I think it's important, so I would need to get a set. I would need to get something that looks nice. I'm not going to half-ass YouTube here. But also, trust me, you're going to still get your Game of Thrones. You're going to get your Westworld. Those are the two that are never going to go away. But in terms of other shows, I don't know. I'm going to watch I'm going to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If I see that I can do videos on it, I will. But if it's like Love County or Love, whatever it's called, I won't be able to make content on it. So I will try. But please, when I end this live stream, just comment down below. Tell me what you want. I genuinely just want to hear what you love to watch. If I get a gauge of you guys and what you love to watch, then I can kind of I can keep you guys in mind when I'm thinking about this channel. But yeah, there's a lot of things I need to sort through, because how do you build a channel and capture an audience if there's so many different things you want to do? So I got to figure that out. But I will leave this live stream open for another, say, 5 minutes. I've said everything I have to say. I need a glass of water. But I would love to hear what you guys have to say. If you have any questions, ask anything. You can ask me about Game of Thrones. You can ask me about Westworld. You can ask me about whatever. Any movies, whatever. I'll be happy to answer, happy to talk about it. Yes. Just checking something. All right, guys. So I think that's it. I don't think anyone has any questions, which is fine. It's what I expected. I'm actually surprised people tuned in. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. It's hard doing a live stream after you haven't done one in like 10 months. But we managed, thank you guys. I really appreciate all your guys' support. I'm going to be working hard to try and come back on this channel. I feel like I've been really neglecting it. And yeah, we'll see what that change holds. But yeah, just a warning. I'm not going to change Game of Thrones. I'm not going to change Westworld. But I think it's time for a little pivot with this channel. Let me know what you think. Thank you all for your support, and I guess I will see you guys later. All right? Take it easy. I'll see you guys later. Let me end this chat.